This video will introduce you to custom field creation, adding those fields to the view, and then actually manipulating those custom fields. The primary use for custom fields is so that the developer can add additional data to the strings themselves. So what we can do here is if we open up our demo project, and then here we have our text module, and then within our text module we have custom fields. So what we can do here is we can create a new custom field. Adding custom fields to your particular project is extremely important. Not only can you add additional data to the strings themselves, but once it's actually built in, it's part of the whole system and becomes ingrained. So it can be used with build generators, so ensuring that the right content goes into each particular build. You can use it for column filtering, and you can also add to import-export reports, so translators have a bit more detail, a bit more information about what is required. So we'll create a new custom field, and then we're greeted with this panel here, so the different field types are available here in this drop-down list here. So we've got text field we'll start off with, and this is just so that whoever's creating the string can provide a little bit more information. So we'll have this field name as scene. So whenever a string is created, it will then have this particular parameter available. So we'll have maximum length of 40 for any text that's input here by the string creator, and then we can actually enter a default value. So most scenes take place in the port, for example, but then that can be changed at any point once the string actually becomes available. So scene now appears within the custom fields available here. So what I can do is I can now create a new custom field, and we shall go for a checkbox this time, and we can again choose to call it whatever we wish. So we're going to call it DLC to start off with. We can also set that as a default value as well for any strings that are then created that then have DLC, but we'll keep that as blank for now, and then we'll OK that. So we now have DLC down here as well. So what we'll do now is create another custom field, and this time we'll choose a drop-down list. So we'll select that and then move across to field name, and we'll do an open beta, and we can set a default value, but we need to add some values first. So this is what we'll see in the drop-down. So we'll have version 1, and then we can have version 2, and then version 3, etc, etc. But we'll leave that as that for now, and then we'll have our default value is version 1. So whenever a new string is created, it will always come up as version 1 to start off with, unless of course changed later on. And then we'll OK that, and then we can see open beta is also in our custom field list. You may, however, want to create a custom field with a drop-down list, but will allow some editing as well. So to do that, we can create a new custom field, drop down here, and then we'll have a drop-down list which is editable as well. So we'll select that. We'll call it Open Beta 2. Okay, and then we'll say the maximum length of any text entry in this particular field is 30. And we can set a default value as well. And what we'll do is we'll add a couple of values in here. We'll have version 1 and version 2 again. And then we'll add those. And then we'll go OK. So now we have Open Beta 2 in our list as well. Now when we create some strings, then we'll show you how those particular custom fields actually come into play. Now if we go back up to custom fields again, we click on custom fields, and we can right click here and then create a new custom field, or indeed click in the main view here. So we'll click there and show you the 5th of our custom fields. So we have our drop down list, value and description. So we'll enter this one here and we'll call it characters. And then what we'll do is we'll add some values in here. So what we can do here is we can add some names. So we'll have Dave here, stick in Angela, we'll have Ed down here. So the way this is particularly used is that we'll then have values. So the text will actually appear as Dave, Angela, Ed, and whichever other characters are in the game itself, and then values, which are far more useful to the programmer if required, could then have a set of pre-assigned values here, so it could be 208, etc. So once those are actually entered by that particular person creating that string, they can then be assigned the values that are most useful to the programmer actually using. So then I can OK this, and then we've got that there. So what we can do now is we move down to our strings folder. So we can select strings here, and then we can right click, and I'm going to create a new string folder at this point. I'm going to call it a bit of everything. And then we'll add some default string values. So I'm just going to add str here, underscore, then insert some counter variables, folder path, insert another one, counter folder, And then what we have here is we have our custom values at the bottom here, so we can then add a particular scene, whether or not it's DLC, and then our open beta and characters that we had earlier. So we just create this folder, and then OK that. So we have a bit of everything now down here. Now what we'll do is we'll insert a few strings in here and save those out. You'll see that the string identifier itself is str, bit of everything, and it's also numbered. And of course we can sort by clicking at the top of the column. And we can also sort on each column, of course. So what we can do here is we can then right click at the top, and then we can manage our columns. So click on Manage Columns here. And here we have our available columns and selected columns. So what we can do here is we can then move down, and we have our custom fields here. So we'll select all of these, holding down the Shift button. Move those across. Then we can then select these, and then move them up a little bit. OK that. And it will now appear in our main view here. So now we can see that the scene itself, default, was always set as port. So we can then change that at any point and say, well, actually that's now graveyard. OK that. We can say whether or not it's DLC. Click on the DLC button there. And then we have our version 1, version 2 over here selectors. But then on Open Beta 2 we made this one editable. So we've now got value, and we've got version 1 here. And then we can always, if we wish to, we can then just type in here if we want to. We can just add some more here, so we can say actually this is only due for version 7. Then OK that. And then we can then look at the characters themselves. So again, if we then select here, we've got Ed, Dave and Angela. Then once we select that, then it will actually give me the value that we actually entered to start off with. So Angela is now 208. So if we wanted to export all the Angela strings, we could make sure that we did a search for the 208, and that would instantly drag those into the build generator.